I want to show you a homemade three-phase generator that, well, geez, I've been running this type of generators for about 35 years. Never burned up a three-phase motor. Three-phase motors are so much nicer than single-phase motors. No start capacitors, nothing. You know, these things are spinning due to induction. No real physical contact. You know, bearings, that's what goes bad. You know, we're talking woodworking. Now, conveyors, things like that, it's hard on motors, but woodworking machinery is pretty easy on motors. But anyway, I got off on a tangent. Okay, this is your idler motor. This is the one that I'm going to feed two legs of single phase, you know, 240, 120 each. The third leg is going to feed back up to a three-phase panel. And that's generating my unbalanced three-phase. This motor, this is my startup motor, single phase. So I put a belt on. Now this is just one. You know, I've got another one. I've got a 20 horsepower that I use to run my planer. But what's really cool about this is you crank it up. And even though, like, the biggest motor that I'm running on this circuit is about a 7.5 horsepower. So my idler motor is a 10 horsepower. So I'm, you know, a little bit above. I always like to be at least a size up from my largest motor that I'm running. But what's cool about this, if you hook an oscilloscope to it and you watch the sine waves, every machine that you turn on, in addition to a machine running, the voltage balances out a little better, and it's beautiful. You don't have to, not unlike static converters with this rotary converter, I can turn on 3, 4, 5 machines. So I'll show you. Let me fire it up. This is pretty crude. You know, I've got it set up to a disconnect. And then what I do is I plug in, or you can have this on a switch. I plug in, put a little tension on my belt, my single phase motor. Okay, so my single phase motor gets spinning. And then it gets the idler motor spinning. Then I energize it. I had the air compressor turned on, so right away it fired up the air compressor. That's a 5 horsepower three-phase motor. Fired it right up. So I'm going to leave that running, the three-phase 5 horsepower air compressor, and I'm going to show you. Here's a joiner, 5 horsepower joiner, three-phase. Okay, I'll come over here to a 5 horsepower table saw. I can turn on the shaper. 3-phase, 5 horsepower shaper. So, there you go. They run just fine. You don't have to buy an expensive rotary converter. You can build your own. It's really nothing to it. If you have in this case, a 10 horsepower, 220, 440, you know, it could be 208, 220, 440, three-phase idler motor. Have a single-phase motor, 115 to get it spinning. I run it through a disconnect because, look, if you're out here working and you drop power, you don't want this thing to come back up once it's spun down, because you will fry the motor. Or pop the breaker if you have it set up. But what I'm saying is, with a disconnect, now you've disconnected it from the circuit and you just go through your process and get it running. But I do have to tell you that the coil inside of your disconnect, let's say it's a 240 coil, you want to use the 2 legs that you're pulling from your panel for your coil. Don't use the unbalanced voltage, because it's going to be a little higher. This motor is generating a little higher voltage. It's fine to power up all the machines and run the machines, but the coils in the motor starters do not like it. So just pay attention to that. Other than that, these things work great. You'll get good service. out of your three-phase motors. I've never burned up a motor on a machine. And it's drawing minimal current when it's sitting there spinning too. When it's just idling and you're doing some work, you're not drawing the nameplate or the current on the nameplate. That's what it's drawing when it's put under load. But so you're drawing a fraction of the current. Anyway, that's a cheap, inexpensive way to generate three-phase.